Hello, hello, hello. It is Friday in the
Woohoo!
afternoon. And you know what that means? It's Friday with Fran time. How are
Uh,
you, Fran?
uh, I,
That
I,
good, huh?
yeah. I just came flying in, turned computers on, and I've been gone all day.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But Bubby just had an appointment, and he did really well.
Oh, that's good.
So,
That's awesome.
yeah, and amazingly, his eyes are better.
Really?
Yes, doctor's like, I don't know, doesn't normally work that way, but we're gonna go with it.
Yeah. Any positives that you can get, that's what you want to go for.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm a little miscombobulated, but
That's
yeah.
okay. Yeah. Hi, Alex. Thanks for joining us. We're so happy that you are here today. And if anyone else is joining us, if you would please do just like Alex did and let us know that you're here, either with a greeting or a hashtag live, or if you're watching this in the replay, hashtag replay. The more comments we get, the better the algorithm picks this up and the more people it shares it to as a potential to watch this. And so if you like what we're doing and you think that other people would benefit from hearing us be silly and talk about the things that we talk about and laugh and, just have random squirrel moments and rabbit hole adventures, share this, like this. And there's
Right.
Bubby.
Hi.
Hi, Luke. He
Can you
can't
say
hear
hi?
me.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
Shelley.
It's
Say
good
hi,
to see
Shelley.
you.
I'm Shelley.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, he's stripped down because he was eating red stuff.
Ah, understood. Understood. So,
So
so what I was saying was make
sorry.
sure that you like it. You give it I got to use my prop. Oh, that's backwards. Got to give it a thumbs up. Um, Share it, comment, do all kinds of stuff because we gotta work with the algorithm that Facebook has, and those are the last tips that I have been aware of that make those kinds of things happen. So today's topic, Fran, you said that you wanted to talk about caregiving. Yeah, I need to do that too. I thought of that as I was like, I'm telling other people to comment. I need to comment. So probably most people don't really understand the level of caregiving that is required by you and other parents of children with disabilities. And you notice how I said that disabilities word, but I kind of put my head down? So the other day I did an interview on hashtag no limits, and the person that I interviewed is an adult person and she preferred it that I say it as disability. And so we got into this. She actually has written a book talking about the language
Really.
around disabilities and special
Mm-hmm.
needs, and and so we that wasn't the focus of our conversation, but we did talk about it for a little bit. And so now I'm like, I don't know what to say again. So
And I think I want to say what the person with whom you're speaking is what you should worry about.
yeah, and that's actually she kind of said that in a roundabout way. And she did talk about the fact that in 10 years or 20 years, what we think is appropriate right now could be considered harmful at that point. And so the
Mm-hmm.
language does change. So she didn't take offense at anything that I said. But I did ask her, because she was saying disabled so much. And I said, so what do you feel about the term special needs? And she kind of cringed. And I said, well, that's part of the title of my book.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, it is what it is. And so,
And honestly, I from the time Luke was born, that's what I used. And I actually stepped away from it when I developed some different abilities as well.
mhm,
Because I was I didn't feel that I was special.
right.
I was just my own person.
Right.
So then I think that's when I started using unique, differently abled, and it's gotten me in all kinds of trouble with other people
Right.
who have disabilities, special needs, whatever. So
Right.
that's when I've did personally. This is what I've come up with: is I'm gonna say what I'm comfortable with about myself and my children, unless they tell me differently. And I will try not to offend anyone that has different needs. But I think this whole world, we've all become so easily, we take everything to the extreme. And it's very unfortunate in my eyes. And it makes it very difficult to have communication because you're always worried about offending somebody rather than being able to know what the person's heart is and just knowing that they're sharing from their heart.
Yeah. And Victoria was her name. She and I spoke about that a little bit, that I often think that the person speaking does not mean to be offensive. And it's difficult to know, just like you said, because depending on the person you're speaking to, I could say something to you and you not take it offensively, but then I could say it to someone else and it would be offensive to them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so she mentioned that too, that it is kind of, it's individual, but at the same time, it's global. And,
Mm-hmm.
so, and I think with any generalization, which is what those terms do, is they generalize a set of people. They generalize anyone who um, has this particular kind of characteristic as, whatever, as a redhead, or as a person with a disability, or as a person with autism, or as the color of their skin, or the religion that they belong to, or their
Mm-hmm.
political affiliation. But then there are those generalizations that kind of speak to the commonality of everyone that has that characteristic, but then everybody within those generalizations is an individual. So trying to, I think, find the balance between speaking to the individual and speaking to the generalization or about the generalization. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I'm laughing. Balance. You got the word in there. Uh, but no, it does make sense. And I'm also laughing because on the way home, I needed to feed my son, and we chose a very long drive-through lane. Apparently, we were there for a very long time. But when we got to where the food was handed out, the person, she looks at me, she goes, "Are you native?" So I was laughing because you're talking about
Oh,
color, and I went, um, no, I'm not First Nation. And, I had to go, I'm sitting there trying to think, native. How do I respond even to that?
right. Yeah.
So, but, and I have a friend that calls it just, it's all labels. Why do we have to label everything? Can't we just be?
Yeah.
But sometimes I know we need a label in order to receive services, but that doesn't mean that that's all that person is.
Exactly. And
Or you,
I think that's the biggest point right there, and the
yeah.
most important is whatever label anybody has placed upon them, that is not all they are. That may
Hmm.
not even be the biggest aspect of that person.
Right. And then this label always makes me laugh, and I have to share it because I have that perspective. So I'm going to.
Okay.
Down syndrome people are so loving. They're always so nice. You have experience with individuals
Yes.
with Down syndrome.
Yes.
You have experience with my son.
Yes.
So we're just going to leave that one there and say they are individuals. And
Yes.
yes, they love just like you and I love, but that doesn't mean that you and I are always loving either.
Exactly. Yes. And when Kevin and I were engaged, and we had to go to a weekend encounter and talk about things just to kind of make sure, because we got married in the Catholic Church and they had this series of steps they wanted you to go through before you got married in the church, and this was one of them. They call it pre-Cana. We kind of went outside the box a little bit and said, instead of doing it for 6 weeks, we want to do an intensive weekend. And so we did this weekend, and they talked to us about, like, whenever you are having a discussion with your partner, you really need to stay away from the terms always or never, because there isn't anything that is always the case or never the case.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, you're letting me down.
I know. And I think that's the same with this. No person, no characteristic is always going to be shown in a certain way, or no person is going to behave 100% of the time a certain way. And I get really, really frustrated when I'm helping somebody write an IEP, an individualized education program, for somebody who may not know what that is. And on their goals, they want the child to achieve it at 100% accuracy.
Right.
And I said, I understand why you want it to be. I mean, like, if it's no hitting, I totally understand why you would want that to be at 100%. But you can't put 100%. And I really argue with them, not argue, but have a discussion, because put it at 99%. So that way, if they do have a bad day and they are flailing and they do make contact with somebody, that doesn't go against them achieving that goal. Well, I mean, it will, but it's like, okay, you've had your one mess up. It's okay. So, hi, Mom.
Hi.
Everyone is unique with their own set of labels. It's true. Everyone is unique, just like me. Everyone is uniquely the same because we're all unique.
That's a good one. I like that.
That's kind of like the only thing that is constant is change. The only thing that is always the same is the fact that it's always changing. But there's the words always, so can't really use those either. So our topic for today, I'm like, how can we segue this in here? So, as some of you got to see at the beginning, her son came in and said hello. And her son is 22 years old. And while he does currently live away from her.
He just had a birthday.
Did he really?
I think so.
And if he didn't live in this facility away from her, he would still be living at home with her. And he would remain at home with her for the entirety of his life, or until Fran's life ended. We often don't talk about the fact that is a lifetime. Like, my daughter just left here to go back to work. That's why I paused, because I thought she was saying something to me, and I was like, wait, is she talking to me? My mom is on this call, on this in the chat. I don't live with her anymore. She doesn't have to take care of me anymore. She worries about me. I worry about my daughter. Every parent worries about their child, no matter how old their child is. So every parent has that level. But the level at which your care for your children is it could be off the charts. From the moment your son was born until, as I mentioned, however old he is or you are, at the passing of one or the other of you, you will be caring for him.
Why don't you read that doodabby or share
Okay.
that doodabby?
The one that you shared the other day on in our Facebook group?
Yeah, and I made it
Okay.
black so you can see it better. I shared it. It should come up. Is it
No,
not
see, it
coming
comes up black.
Okay, well, here you go. Is it there now?
No.
Here we go.
There it is. Okay. Every parent plans to raise their child for about 18 years, set them free for 30 years, and then hope they come back to help them face the final years of their own life. The special needs parent plans to raise a child for 65 years, and while doing so, also has to prepare for the other 20 or so after they themselves are long gone. Let that sink in for just a moment, and you will begin to understand the drive and determination that many of us have while we are here on Earth. If you've never thought about that, don't be sorry. Be thankful. So I want to take a second and give you that opportunity. The special needs parent plans to, hey, there's that word, that phrase, special needs. The special needs parent plans to raise a child for 65 years. And while doing so, also has to prepare for the other 20 or so after they themselves are gone.
But it's okay. It's just unique in that it's just a different journey. It's a different, a different, what's the word for which I'm looking? It's just a different path.
Yeah. I mean, I thought what you said was good, a different journey.
But I mean, it can be heavy. I said, what I shared when I shared that the other day was, yeah, it with someone, it can be really heavy at times. And I'll admit there are times I have cried in the middle of the night because it's been so overwhelming. But I am so blessed that I don't have to worry because I know God has a perfect plan for each of my kiddos, just like He has a perfect plan for each of us and for everyone. He has a plan for everyone. But I do have to trust, and I'm grateful that He has brought so many people into my kiddos' lives and into my life that I know that someone will look out for them. But I also know, especially from watching comments on this post, that there are some people that have nobody and they live in fear and dread. And it breaks my heart that they do. And I used to work in a facility that there were people that had no family.
Right.
But we became their family. And we would take them home or, give them presents on their birthdays. And they became our family.
Right.
So it doesn't mean that there won't be anyone, but no one can love your child like you do.
Right.
And that is true.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, going back to the book that I wrote, several, if not all, of the families, no, it wasn't all of the families, because sadly, one of the families has already lost their child, and another family feels like her child, because of how severe the illness and the disability that he has, that he will go before her, and if things progressed naturally. But several of the families, when I said, what's your biggest worry or what's your biggest concern, it was, what happens to my child when I'm gone? And the first time I heard that, I thought, well, everybody has that worry. And then the more I started thinking about it, I thought, no, everybody doesn't have that worry. Or if they have that worry, even those that do have that worry, it's not always, again, at the same level. I mean, I know that as we think of the natural way of things going, is that Kevin and I would go before Violet would go. And therefore, it makes me sad that Violet will be sad for a while, but I'm not worried about what will happen to her, or who will pay for her bills, or who will take care of her, because she's at this moment in time capable of doing all of that herself. And that's just such a different magnitude, I guess.
And it's really funny because I had all these plans. I knew that Luke would live with me the rest of his life. I just knew it, and I knew that he would pass prior to me because Down syndrome only has a certain life expectancy. This was all in my head,
Right.
of course, and that Allison would live in a group home and she would be set, and she would be good to go. So that's what I had that all planned.
Right.
Because, best laid plans. And then my health took a very rapid change, and it continues to rapidly change. And now I know that, well, I don't know. I believe that I won't be around, and someone's going to have to care for my kiddos. But I know that I just have to trust
Right.
that God's going to take care of them, and that he's going to put the right people there. So
Right.
for me, it's just my faith carries me through that. I have that hope.
Yeah.
But I also watch parents that are ill and have adult children that will outlive them. And it is an extra strain, extra stressor if not if you don't have support. And I think that's was my main goal when I posted that, was for people to realize that you can't do it alone. I
Right.
mean, so often what I'm discovering recently, so many things are tied into pride. So many things. In my life, I'm like, oh my gosh, here I go again. I thought I got rid of that. But and it's so many times it's a pride thing. I can do it myself. No one can do it better than me, or we feel like there's shame in asking for help, and that is so wrong. And I wish we could get that internal conversation and just make it go away, and realize that we were never meant to do it alone.
Right. And there was a group that I'm in, and a parent posted, she says, it's a special education parents group. And a parent posted that, she was just feeling at her wit's end because she has one or two children with disabilities, and now her husband also has a disability, and they were all needing full-time care, and she was the sole caregiver. And she says, I just don't know what to do. I don't have anybody. And so, many people reached out to her, and I was one of them. And I said, I think verbatim what you just said. We weren't meant to do this alone. And and then I told her I was sorry that she was struggling and going through this, and that I didn't know if I could help her because I don't know where she is or anything. You don't know where these people are in these groups, but that she, if at all possible, needed to reach out and ask, and then other people who have an experience that I don't have, reached out to her, and she was feeling better just having that little bit of connection.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I hope people, anyone that sees this now or on replay, that you realize you are not alone, that there are resources out there. And even if Shelley or I cannot specifically be that resource, we can aim you in the right direction.
Right. Yeah, I recently had somebody reach out to me, and they actually said, can you put me in contact with Fran, because she has some experiences that I think that knowledge will help me in a situation that I'm going through right now. And then I put that person in contact with Fran, but then I also reached out to my whole network of master IEP coaches and some lawyer friends that I have that are in special education. And I, kind of gave them a quick synopsis of what the situation was and said, do you have any help or ideas? And I had several people write back with different suggestions. And but when you're in the moment and you're going through it, it seems because I've been in other situations where in the moment I felt like there's nobody to help me. There's nothing I can do. I'm all alone. There aren't any resources. And so reaching out is so very important. And finding Facebook groups. Like I said, this woman, I've never met her before, but she felt better after so many of us commented to her, and especially when people who had similar experiences to her commented to her about their own situations and how they've dealt with it and how they feel and how they could understand her feelings. And, I feel like there's a group for everything. And if there's not, then start one, because if you have a situation, I can't imagine that in a world of 8 billion people that there aren't other people who have similar situations, maybe not identical, but, I've made such connections with people through the internet because of having similar experiences to them. Never met them, probably won't meet most of them, but it sure is cool when I've gotten to meet them in person. And by that, I mean, mostly the master IEP coaches that we've all gone through this mentorship and the trainings and everything together. And then when we've had our conferences, it's such a welcoming, and we talked about that. That was a whole episode. What a welcoming environment it was, and how it was great to feel that 100% complete inclusion and love amongst the whole group.
And I as you were sharing, what came to mind, or I wanted to share, was how can you, let's say, as you were saying, you reached out to that person on that page, but and then others that could more that have experienced it as well. But how can people reach out when you may not have walked that path? There are so many ways you can reach out and help. Just say, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to, and don't pretend to know if you don't know. And I even had a friend the other day going through something, and all I could say to this person was, I don't understand. I can't claim to understand, but all I can tell you is I'm here and I'm praying for you.
Yeah.
And I'm not going anywhere.
Yep.
So it doesn't mean don't be afraid to say, don't be afraid because you don't want to offend them. You haven't experienced it, that you can't help somebody. You can always help somebody, because sometimes all anyone needs is what she just said.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I really like that she capitalized all the letters in listen. And did you know, if you rearrange the letters in listen, what it can spell?
Mm-hmm.
Silent. And sometimes that's what somebody needs, is just to know that there is someone willing to be silent and listen. And I did a really horrible job of that recently with Kevin, and I tried to solve everything that he was wanting me to just listen. And it was only afterwards that I realized that I had not just listened, and that was all he wanted me to do. And I had to apologize. And now when he talks to me about this particular area of his life that he's experiencing for the first time ever, and I have a ton of experience with it. He's a teacher now, and this is his first time being a teacher, and I've had all the years of my experience. And so it's very challenging for me to just sit silent and listen because I want to jump in and fix it. But there's a lot of other times, like you said, when I can't always help you because I haven't walked in your shoes. So I can listen. I can offer to if you need a driver sometimes, or you need something picked up or an errand run, I can maybe do those kinds of things, or laundry or whatever. Cutting grass. I noticed there was somebody cutting your grass the other day when I dropped off your posters. So
thank you for those posters.
You're welcome.
They were well received.
Oh, good. So yeah, I mean, it may not be that you can help in the exact thing that the person is stressed about the most at the moment when they're talking to you. But even if you just listen and you still feel like you want to do something else, but you can't, just send them a note. Say, I'm thinking about you the next day or a week later.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes, I know this probably sounds weird, but gift cards are, if you don't know what to do, a gift card to a fast food place that they tend to frequent, because a lot of people are on the go, or but the note, just a note or a text, shooting off a quick text, hey, you're on my heart.
Yep.
Means the world when you feel like no one even knows you're alive.
Yeah.
It makes you realize, oh, there are people out there to whom I can reach out when I feel as if I am all alone.
And my suggestion is, even if you think it's so out of the blue and so long since you last spoke to the person, or you think it's too long and you think it'll be uncomfortable for them to get that random text, do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone who's gotten a random text or a little note saying, hey, I was thinking about you today, that they've been like, well, that was really stupid. It's been 6 months or 6 years or whatever the time frame is. They may question, like, why is this coming out of the blue? But it still makes them feel good to know that somebody thought of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just people that are in Fran's situation. I mean, that's anybody going through. And actually, it doesn't even have to be going through. I started to say going through stuff, but it doesn't have to even be that. You just reach out, let people know that you care about them. Let people know that they're being thought about. Like you said, that they're not the only person, that they've not been forgotten.
Yeah. I liked what your mom said.
Yeah. Well, I kind of get it from my mom, so that makes sense. That's a hard thing to do, meaning just listen, because you want to fix things for the person.
Mm-hmm. And
and Luke is 23. I noticed Alex put that up earlier in the chat.
Okay. We do want to fix things, but sometimes it's in the journey, it's in the learning that strength and growth, strength that that we gain the strength we need for future trials.
Hmm.
And if someone fixes it, we don't have that in our arsenal in our toolbox
Right.
with which we can dig through and get what we need for that situation.
Yeah.
But sometimes in the process, it's hard. We talk about this off and on, the refiner's fire, what gold goes through, and what a process. It's not easy, but to become pure, to become stronger, or to become the best it can, it has to go through that process.
Right. And yeah, I mean the gold, the precious metals. I mean, you don't get diamonds unless you crush the coal and you put it under immense pressure. The butterfly, the caterpillar, doesn't turn into the butterfly without going through an awful lot.
Hmm.
And so, on that note, can I read the other thing that we talked about? Do you think now would be a good time to do that?
You're reading it or am I reading it?
Did you find your version of it?
Well, I found a bunch of versions of it.
Okay.
What?
Well, just so you can, um, no, just so you can read it. I mean, I'll put mine
You
up,
can put yours up,
and then you can
but
read whatever if you found one online or wherever. So
I'm gonna
this,
try
what we're talking about, is a, I guess it's a poem called "Welcome to Holland." It's by Emily Billingsley, I think, is her name.
Emily Pearl Kingsley.
Kingsley. Okay, got
Yep.
it.
Yep. Ready?
Okay. I'm gonna
You
put
can put
my
yours up.
version up, and then you
Oh, I
can.
can see it there.
Oh, okay.
How come I couldn't see it before?
I don't know.
Okay. I am often asked to describe the experience of raising a child with a disability, to try to help people who have not shared that unique experience to understand it, to imagine how it feels. It's like this. When you're going to have a baby, it's like planning a fabulous vacation trip to Italy. You buy a bunch of guidebooks and you make your wonderful plans. The Colosseum, the Michelangelo David, the gondolas in Venice. You may learn some handy phrases in Italian. It's all very exciting. After months of eager anticipation, the day finally arrives. You pack your bags and off you go. Several hours later, the plane lands. The stewardess comes in and says, "Welcome to Holland." Holland, you say? What do you mean? Holland? I signed up for Italy. I'm supposed to be in Italy. All my life, I've dreamed of going to Italy. But there's been a change in the flight plan. They've landed in Holland, and there you must stay. The important thing is that they haven't taken you to a horrible, disgusting, filthy place full of pestilence, famine, and disease. It's just a different place. So you must go out and buy new guidebooks, and you must learn a whole new language, and you will meet a whole new group of people you would never have met. It's just a different place. It's slower paced than Italy, less flashy than Italy. But after you've been there for a while and you catch your breath, you look around and you begin to notice that Holland has windmills and Holland has tulips. Holland even has Rembrandts. But everyone you know is busy coming and going from Italy, and they're all bragging about what a wonderful time they had there. And for the rest of your life, you will say, "Yes, that's where I was supposed to go. That's what I had planned." And the pain of that will never, ever, ever, ever go away. Because the loss of that dream is a very, very significant loss. But if you spend your life mourning the fact that you didn't get to Italy, you may never be free to enjoy the very special, the very lovely things about Holland.
Yep.
And I always like to say there's that line in there that always talks about that it will never ever ever go away.
Mm-hmm.
And um That seems almost like a horrible thing that 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 word. Can you share, or did you already close that
I
out?
closed it out.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's all
Well, I
right.
can probably share it again because
But
I don't have it closed on my.
just that one part that about which I was thinking. Down there, and the pain of that will never, ever, ever go away.
Mhm.
That part, I just
Where'd
don't
it go?
always. It's okay. It was up. I read that line. I'm good. Oh, there it is. So, you see that on the very bottom? And the pain
Yeah.
of that will never, ever, 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 because the loss of that dream. Well, I mean, we all experience broken dreams,
Mhm.
dreams that never come to fruition. But we really could dwell on that loss of the dream. And like we talk about, the I may be in a different place than someone else that may have just started this journey. And
Right.
in when Bubby and Bit were smaller, it probably did seem that it was going to be forever, that these dreams were I was going to have to find new dreams. And really, I mean, when the doctor pulled me in and said, I have to tell you something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my son died. No, he was just telling me he had Down syndrome. But the way he said it, and yes, I cried, but it wasn't because I was upset that he had Down syndrome. It was just I had all these dreams, and I had all these plans, and those dreams did die with when I found out he had Down syndrome. But it didn't mean that he died, and it didn't mean that I thought, oh my gosh, he's a ball and chain and this is going to be horrible the rest of my life. It was just I had to have new dreams. And it took a long time to have those dreams happen, even prior to conceiving Bubby. I probably had started that dream process. So it was just a matter of, I think we never give ourselves enough time. We never give ourselves enough time to grow, to heal, to mend, to grieve. We just rush through. And we expect others to rush through. We don't allow the process, however that process should be, to occur. We want
Yeah.
it now. We're that instantaneous now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just totally ran with that, but that's just where I
No,
was.
that's awesome because again, I can speak to the situation, but you have experienced it. So your knowledge that you just shared is much better than anything that I would have had to say about it. Um,
And and then I just realized something. My dreams for myself have had to change.
mhm.
And I think that if I go to that poem, thanks Alex, you're so right. It is a powerful poem. If I go to that poem, I think, yeah, I'm in that loss of the dream, and it's pretty painful because there are times, because I never thought I would be in a wheelchair, or or have all the health problems that I'm experiencing in the moment right now. I never thought that this would be my life. And so I do have to reboot and um I have to find some new dreams. And for a while, it was a little difficult recently. I was struggling a bit. Um I felt that, why should I dream? But I know I have a purpose and I have a dream. So it's okay. It's just, it is different, and it is definitely a different pace, or it should be a different pace. I have to learn to make it a different pace because I'm still trying to put an Italy pace into Holland. And you know, when you don't move in an Italy pace, and you're trying to move that pace, yeah, your feet get really tangled up. It's just not a good thing. I'm just saying. So I
Yeah.
need to embrace the place in which I am. And I think so often we all, the grass looks looks greener, but it's not. Sometimes it's astroturf.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Just saying.
Can I read a couple little things from my book?
Mm-hmm.
So this is out of Kathleen's story. And it says, while she never physically lost a child, this is about the mom, this is Carrie, she felt she lost the child she thought she was going to have. Carrie says through tears, at the time Kathleen was born, my heart was torn into millions of pieces I thought would never be put back together again. But God is faithful, and he took all those pieces, and he did put them back together. It was quite a period of time for God to put all those pieces together, but he did. And then a couple paragraphs later, she says, I tell you the truth. If I had that other child, I wouldn't be here. She wouldn't be the same person she is today. And I love this person exactly as she is.
That is so powerful.
I thought so.
And so often we think because we're not normal or whatever that we're less than, or that person is less than. But it doesn't. Sometimes it makes them greater than, it just.
Exactly. So I think as we go through life, our dreams have to change with our circumstances. I would agree with that.
And I think that if we can, the one that can change, the one that is not stuck in the same rut, can grow and turn into that butterfly. Mm-hmm. But if you're stuck and you're not willing to realize that you may need to allow your dream to shift, is when we can get in that deep dark hole.
Yeah. And I think about, as we're talking, and this is actually from something you said a few minutes ago, that you are on a different journey than someone who's just getting this news and just beginning you're on a different section of your journey. And I think about, you had I'm going to say experience, because I don't really know how else to say it. I don't want to say that it was better or worse. So you had the experience of knowing as soon as your children were born. Not with Bit?
Nope.
Okay. In particular, I'm thinking of a lot of the students that I've worked with that are 10, 12, some even older than that, 8, maybe, somewhere, they've been around for somewhere between like G and J years. Okay. And then their parents are finding out that their child has a learning disability or ADHD or a chromosomal problem or anxiety or mental health or whatever. Mm-hmm. Their dream still changes and possibly feels like a death at that point. And I have a guest coming on, and we haven't figured out the date yet, but she is a grief counselor, and she works with anyone, but she really wants her niche to be parents of children with disabilities, because so often, and she herself is a parent of a child with a disability, and so often the parents don't talk about what you and I are talking about. And even the little bit that you and I are talking about it isn't enough to accept it, to move through it, to live through it, to, all the experiences that you have gone through and continue to experience. And so I just got connected with her a couple of days ago, and I'm looking forward to having her on. But it is, no matter what age you find out that your child isn't the person that your unintentional expectations thought they were going to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's a grieving process.
Yeah, it is. And I guess I can now that as I had that kind of epiphany moment just a while ago when I realized that perhaps that is partially what I'm going through now myself with my own life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having to grieve and to allow to go through those steps and sometimes not willingly
Right.
go through those steps.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's neat. I look forward to when that person.
Yeah, I'll be sure to let you know. So how do you, what do you do to help you in those moments when you're low? We have a few minutes to go, so I want to, we always try to do this. We always try to give some helpful tips. We talked about reaching out to people. We talked about, reaching out if it's in a Facebook group or some sort of a support group. Most things are virtual or online still, and you have more options online usually than what most people do in person. But what do you do if you can't get a hold of someone, or you put something out in a Facebook group and it comes back poorly and people attack you because
that's happened to me.
Yeah.
What do I do? I have to, a lot of times I try to, if I'm really struggling and I can't find someone to listen or to just share or to bounce my struggles off of, I will try to put myself in timeout, which means climbing up on my bed and watching something mindless or listening to praise music, taking my thoughts away from that in which I'm struggling and trying to find something that I can, that allows me to just give it a rest.
Mm-hmm.
And I like what Alex said, putting it in writing and getting it out. I'm not the greatest personally at putting things in writing, but I know that there are people that do. They write it out and that then it takes it off their mind and they're able to move forward. And for me, I really struggle. I've always have struggled with putting it down in writing because then it's real.
Oh.
For me, if
Yeah.
if I write it out, then it's there. And as long as it's not written, then perhaps it might just go away if it. Yes, that's something.
I feel you there.
So, but I have learned that I know that for me personally, I can turn to God and just say, God, I don't know what else to do, so I'm just gonna I give it to you, and I have to leave it with you. Please help me to leave it there, and then help give me your peace. And then I also am personally, God has put people in my life that I can send a text to, even if I know they're busy, that just says, "You're really struggling," and I don't even have to go into it. And then, and even if they don't have time, and they can just, or if they just text back praying or I'm here, that's enough for me.
Yeah, I'm great at giving the advice and knowing the science behind actually what Alex said of, like, your brain tries to process it, and if you don't speak it, you don't write it out, it still thinks it has to deal with it. But if you speak it out, or even, and by speaking it out, you can just like speak it into a recorder. You don't have to say it to somebody. But writing it out or speaking it out, that actually alleviates your brain, because your brain thinks, oh, okay, that's taken care of. And I'm really good at saying those things and giving that suggestion, but I don't have the greatest follow through with that, because I'm not a writer. Yeah, I know I wrote a book, but that's completely different than writing every day, or I've got probably 8 number of journals that I have started over the years, and I might write in them for 1 calendar, maybe B calendars, and then I stop. And even when I'm writing in it for A calendar or B calendars, it's still not every day that I'm writing in it. I'm a little envious of those people who do that, who will write and journal every day, because it is a great reminder of things, kind of like Facebook does, where they pop up and say, oh, here's a reminder of what you were doing last year, or years ago at this time. Journals have that same effect too, but I'm just not as good at writing it down. After you write it down, cut it up or burn it, and then be done with it. That's what works for my mom.
That's good. I've heard of that too.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
and see, Alex says too, it's hard to do, but can be great relief.
but I just want to, can you reshare that thing we started with?
Yep. I can.
So I wanted to, you know, that final line, if you've never thought about that, don't be sorry, be thankful. I think so often we feel like if we reach out to someone that has kiddos who have different needs, that they're going to think we're looking down on them, or we're condescending them, or that they're not going to appreciate it. For me, honestly, I appreciate it when people share the joys that their kiddos are going through. You can unshare it now. You know, I don't see it as, don't tell me what your kids are able to do. I want to know. I want to enjoy your child's life just as much as I want you to enjoy my child's life, because each of our children are unique in their own way. So let's just enjoy each other's children.
Yeah, that's good.
And it's okay that if you say, I don't know how you're going through, I don't know how you deal with what you're going through, I could never do it. It's okay to say that, because we're given what we can handle.
Right.
So that was just my only, I just really wanted to share, was just because you have a child that went on to college doesn't mean that you can't share the joys of that, or moving your child into college with someone whose child may not live another day. They may find joy in your child, because then they can live that what their child might have done through your child.
Yeah, I mean, and just because we have different experiences doesn't mean we can't enjoy someone else's, even though they're different. And it might have been what we thought we wanted at some point for our child. But as we said, our dreams have changed. Maybe we've landed in Holland when we thought we were going to Italy, or maybe we landed in Germany when we thought we were going to Holland. Who knows? But, you know, everybody's path is different, but that doesn't mean that no one else can enjoy the path at the same time. It's time to go.
Oh, wow. This was a heavy one.
Yeah. And more so for you, but yeah. So we want you to know, as always, that you're not alone. Please reach out to us through here, and whatever we can do, if it's to listen and be silent, or if it's that you need resources, we'll help you with what you need as best we can. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.